Zevachim, Daf Tzadik Aleph Amud Beis, in the first wide line where it says Ketanoi. I just wanted to bring down the machlekes from yesterday. The machlekes we had between Shmuel and Abzera. Shmuel said that by when one in Rab Tafin says one can give a carbon out of oil. So somebody who gives a carbon dava out of oil, what happens with the rest after the Kemitza? The Kemitza goes to the Mizbeach, and the rest go to the Kahanim, or the whole Shmuel says the rest go to the Kahanim, and it's divided by the Kahanim. Rabbi Zeta says the whole carbon of oil that's given as an adava goes to the fire. Says Yemara Katanoi, it's really a machlekes of Tanoi, and this is what we're going to start. Where do we see that? No, that's about, you're talking about blood ahead. Yeah, a blood before. So we're already past that far. Says Yemara Shemen lo yivsim look. When it right, Shemen you can't go less than a look. A look is usually brought with a regular cup of mincha. Rabbi Yomer Shleish is looking. Rabbi Yomer says you can't go less than 3 lugin, which is usually brought with wine. The minimum of wine is 3 lugin. Says what are they arguing? In what are they arguing? Why does one say lug, and why does Rabbi say 3 lugin? Why do the Chacham say 1 lug? Amru Rabban Kamidra Papa. Yes. No, we're going to say from the way they learn why one says 1 lug, one says 3 lugin, we'll understand the same machlekes by us. Why by a carbon shaman? Well, if it's all burned, yeah, we're going to get. No, we want to understand. Amru Rabban Papa. Rabban said before Papa, Dun mina umina, the dun mina ve'oikibasa ikmenayo. What does it mean, dun mina umina? What does it mean, dun mina basa? When you have a Gezeir Shava is usually you find in 2 places the same word. We learn out one from the other. How much? What do we learn out? Do we only learn out the Iko or with all the details? So the one that says du mina means not only are we going to learn the main limit that we want to learn out, but with all the pitch of kiss, with all the little details also. Du mina ba'asa means no. We're only going to learn out the main Aveda from there. But when it comes to the details, we have to find something more similar than from what we're learning out. Because what we're learning out from is not similar. Here we go. And then he's going to show you what we're talking about. The Rabbanan Sabri, the Rabbanan hold that do me know. What does that mean? Ma mincha. We're going to learn out that a carbon of oil, how do we know you can give it as an adava, just like by a mincha? Okay? Ma mincha misnadvin, a shemen misnadvin. Just like a mincha, it's brought as an adava, so too shemen could be brought as an adava. And then when he says do me know, he says me know. And we also learn out the details. That what? That just like ma mincha look shemen, just like by the mincha it's a look. So afkan, so too when it comes to the carbon of oil, it's going to be a look shemen.
But you can't give more.
No. 1 second. When we get to the rest, and what else? What other details do we learn out? Kumtza, that the koimetz goes on the fire. Koimetz is the 3 fingers that he takes out, so scoops. How could he scoop oil? So Tesa says it becomes congealed, so you can do it. Or Tesa says we estimate how much oil can fit in here. We put it in a cup, and that's what we put on the mizbeach as a kmitza. Says you want a kmitza, you put it on the zeich to burn it, and the leftovers are divided between the kahanim. So to shemen you do a kmitza, and the leftovers nechalin are divided between the kahanim. So this mamish follows Shmuel's shita. Shmuel holds like the Rabbanan in this takana. Do me know. We learn out all the details. The Idach, what about Rabbi? Rabbi says, no. Mincha, we learn out from Mincha. Ma mincha misnad mesham misnad. The only thing that we learn out from Mincha is only that you can bring the oil as an adava. But ukibasa, when it comes to the other details, we go to something that's more similar to oil, something that's a liquid too. What is that? Knesachin, like the bayayin, the nischayayin, the pouring the libation of wine. Man nisach, just like the shear of the libation of wine is shloish lugin. Shemen, so too shalish lugin. Oil will also be 3 lugin. Uman nisachin kulun lasfalin, and just like by nisachim, the wine, where do you pour it? You pour it in these bowls that were connected to drains, and that's because as if the mizbeach is drinking You understand the wine? And Av Shemen Kul La'isha, just like all the oil. It's disturbing. A little bit this way, to the back. So just like the Nesachim, all of it is gone, goes into the bowls, and it gets, it's all given to the Mizbeach. So too, the Shemen, Kulan, the whole oil is given La'ishim to the fire on the Mizbeach, and it's not divided by the Kohanim. That is Rebbe that follows Abzeda Shita. The Abzeda will follow like the Tal Rebbe.
Mincha is only a lug of Shemen.
Yes, if you're doing the details of a mincha, correct. Amalei Papa Abaya. Papa said to Abaya, mincha maisi lo Rebbe. If we're learning it out from mincha, it says you want to. Is it right that you're saying you're learning out from Kabbalah mincha that you could give that the shemen is given as an adava? So the kuliyama, you could say really everybody holds dum mina. Really, we not only do we learn out the main din, but we learn out with all its details. Rebbe, but where does Rebbe learn out that you give it as a cup nadava? He doesn't learn it out from mincha. Rebbe learns it out from Ezrach. Ezrach, which is an extra word written by Nesachim. And Gamala, we learn out from that extra word that by Shemen you give it as an adava. And we learn out all the details the same from Shemen. So really, dumina, really, that's not a machlekes if you say dumino, be'asra. Really, everybody holds when we learn out one from the other, we learn it out with all the details. What are they arguing? Why does one say 3 lug and why does it say 1 lug? Because one says we learn it out from Kabbalah Mincha. Kabbalah Mincha is because it says extra word Kabbalah, we'll soon see. So Mincha is only 1 lug. And one says we learn out the Kabbalah Dava by Shemen, not from Mincha, from the word Ezrach that's written by the libation of wine, which is extra, which is 3, and we learn out all the details from there. So you say, yes, if we're only learning it from here, that's it. You know what it means? Chama has 2 meanings. Chama can mean wine, chama it can mean a donkey. So we say it's if the chama is different, if the chama is on the table, then it's wine. But if the chama is in the stall, if it's in the stable, it's a donkey. Yeah. So it depends how we're learning. If we're learning it all, from the same place, then they would be arguing, do me know v'asa. Or the argument from where's the marker from where we learn it out? One says we learn it out from Mincha, one says learn it out from the extra word Ezach. Says that's how our papas learn the machlekes. It's not true. Amalei Avuna, but Papa me matzes hamnatachi. Hey, Papa, could you say the argument where the marker you learn it out from? You yourself, look what you said. By the time we learned about Isa carbon mincha, the extra word carbon that says by mincha, there was no need for it to say the word carbon over there. I can't remember what the pasuk was over there, but there was no need to say the word mincha. I mean carbon. So carbon mincha malam shem. It's not in shem. From there we learn out that you give it as shemen as a nadava. From the extra word carbon. Bekama, how much is the shir? Shloish lugin. Uman shamet lei. Who is the one that taught us that it's 3 lugin? The man shamet lei dama shloish lugin. Who's the one that taught us 3 lugin? Rebbe. It's Rebbe. Bekamaisila. How does Rebbe learn it out from the extra word carbon? So carbon teaches us that it's 3 lugin. So you see, Rebbe himself.
Carbon, you bring 3.
Right. But they know because the word carbon is extra. We learn out.
But you see, by a carbon also is 3.
No, by a carbon it's 1 lug. Carbon mincha it's 1 lug. But since
but a regular carbon.
A nisachim is 3 lug. Only libations is 3 lug.
But certain carbonas you have to bring nisachim, no?
Oh yes. Okay, but that's not what he's saying. He's saying normally a mincha is 1 lug.
How many do you bring?
So over here, a regular carbon is usually a carbon mincha is 1 lug. Like we said, look. Yeah, a libation. You bring a lug with it. Yes.
So when do you bring 3?
Reviya sahim. When it says the word reviya sahim, then it's 3 lugim. So it says, you see, Rebbe himself didn't learn it out from Ezra. You wanted to say, Papa wanted to say, Rebbe is the one that learns it out from the Sachem. It's not true. Rebbe said, who's the here? You see, Beferish. He learned it out from the extra word carbon. So Amalei Sraf, when he said it back to Rebbe, listen. Oh, I'm sorry, Papa was makabel the words of Avuna. I'm sorry, Papa said back to Avuna, hey, Tanya, listen, I have to retract what I said. You saw in the Brisa that Rebbe is the one that learned it out from the word come. Okay, Ashayla. So he says, I retract. Okay, Omer Shmuel said, Hamasnad of Yayim. Somebody who gives an adava wine, maybe he brings it and he sprays it onto the fire. My time. What's the reason? It says in the pasuk, the wine you should sacrifice as a libation, a chatzahin, ishe fire. So you see, you have to put the wine in the fire. How can you
what do you want? Wine in the fire?
If you're giving a carbon of yayin, so what are you supposed to do with it? You're supposed to put the wine on the fire.
So it should burn.
Not in the safolim. Which ones go into the bowls that go straight into the drains? The libations that come together with a carbon. But if you're giving a libation on its own as a carbon, you're giving the wine alone as a carbon, that has to go into the fire. Says, how could you put it on the fire?
Yeah,
Well, Kamachabi, he's extinguishing the fire, and the Torah says, you're not allowed to extinguish it. Says you want to keep him mixed, like make a kibbutz. He's only extinguishing a little bit, so it's not called kibbutz. Says you want to really? It's not considered extinguishing. Ain't he really? Well, says he took off one coal and you extinguished the jeba on my sichla. Says you want to like that Gemara is talking about there was only one coal left. So that is, when he extinguished that's extinguishing the whole fire. Gemara cup. Anybody say? Yeah. Anybody say? But if you want, I can tell you another answer. Kibui the mitzvah shiny, extinguishing, but you're doing a mitzvah on its way because the Torah says, what are you supposed to do with the libation of wine? You're supposed to put it on the fire. So you're doing a mitzvah on the way. That's fine. So that's not. It's maybe kibui, but you're doing mitzvah. Yeah, okay. Toshma says you might have come in here. And I'll bring the proof that there's no such a thing that you spray the libation on the fire. Where do we see that? Not no such a thing, but we will find you a Bryce that says that you're supposed to put it in the bowls. Where do we see that? The Tanakh Yaakov Klapish us time. It says, look, the Torah says you're supposed to do Trumas Hadeshim. There's something called Beis Hadeshim. Beis Hadeshim were for those things that were possible. They would take it outside the machna and burn it. Anything that was possible. Trumas Hadeshin is kosher carbon. You shovel it, and you know where you would put it? You go down the ramp, you put it right on the south side of the mizbeach. You know what the floor would do? Just swallow it. It was a miracle. You put it there, it was gone.
Well, so that same thing with the blood. They poured it in the middle.
Yes.
How can you do things with a miracle? You're supposed to do
no, the truma you did up here. You shoveled it and brought it downstairs. Says the Gemara, here it says, I would have thought listen, all the coals are burning. You want to do a Trumas Hadeshim, maybe you're allowed to extinguish a couple of them and shovel it and bring it down. You need ashes. So start extinguishing some of the coals, bang it out, and make some ashes. He says, Amart, but you said, no, you're not allowed. He's doing a mitzvah. He should be able to. So you have an ayah that even as a mitzvah, even when you're doing a mitzvah, you're not allowed to extinguish. Says you want to shine your house. That's a different case. There he could sit. Wait a little bit. What's your rush? You're rushing. You could, if you wait a little bit, you'll have some ashes. The coals will burn out on its own. So you want to rush it because you want to do the mitzvah earlier. Yeah, but there's no season over here. So wait it out. Tashma says you want to come in here. I'll bring you hadaya. Yayin kedibri Rabbi Akiva. The wine is like Rabbi Akiva that was swollen, that it was poured in the bowls, not on the fire. Shemen kedibri Rabbi Taf.
What happens when you put them in the bowls? What happens with the wine you put
It goes straight down. The bowls were connected to the drain. It's like
after you finish the libation.
You do the libation into the bowls. You pour it into the bowls, and the bowls go down the drain. It's like the mizbeach is drinking. That's what it was.
So you don't put it on the mizbeach.
Not on the fire. No, the bowls were on the mizbeach. On top of the mizbeach that was connected to the drains. On the mizbeach.
On the mizbeach.
The sfolim was sitting, the bowls were on the mizbeach connected to the drain. And it went straight down the drain. So the whole, and it was covered with...
That's considered
Nisuch, yeah, sure. And you remember we had the Gemara before. It was those pipes of the drain was
It's
covered.
like you're going in the drain, like putting it into the toilet.
No, this is a drain like a pipe in your system that you're drinking something. And they made it covered by the walls on the Mizbeach. Drink and eat. You put the bus on. Yeah. Says Gemara. So it wasn't like Shmuel said that it goes into the fire. You see, it's like Rabbi Akiva. And Shaman can live it up. Rabbi Tafin. Shaman is like Rabbi Tafin. Leishim. It went to the fire. So you see, it's not like Rabbi Shmuel who says it went to the fire. And now bring up Rice like Rabbi Akiva. Right? No. Only Shmuel. Shmuel said it. Rabbi Tafin said the Shemen went to the fire. Why did the Shemen, the Shemen shouldn't go to the fire? It's going to extinguish the fire. No. Shemen makes the fire bigger. Look over here. Like there is Hanukkah. We use Shemen. Right, Tanya, we also learned in the Braisa. Yayin Nesach is fallen. We learned the Fedish in the Braisa. The Yayin Nesach does not go in the fire. It goes into those bowls. It says, maybe we should say it goes into the fire. It says, you want to know? We say you're not allowed to extinguish a fire. That's why the wine has to go into the bowls, not into the fire. So we have to understand.
Because wire would extinguish the fire and the Shemin would not.
Would not, exactly. So that's why we said it goes into the bowls. But the kashi is, we have a machlekes. What's the svara of Shmuel? What's the svara of Rabbi Akiva? Shmuel said it goes straight into the fire. So like kashi. On the yayin. On the yayin. Now, everybody agrees like Rabbi Taf, it goes into the fire. Says Gemara like kasha. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda. This follows Rabbi Yehuda. Now we're going into Masechta Shabbos. You heard of Davar Sheina Miskaven?
No.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Davar Sheina Miskaven means you do a malach on Shabbos.
Yeah.
Well, without intention to do malacha.
Oh, okay.
Here over here, what did he do? He did it the intention to be mekayim the mitzvah, not to extinguish the fire. His malacha was to do the mitzvah.
Right.
But as an effect, what happened?
He did
an avera. Okay, so he says. So Davar Sheina Miskaven, Rabbi Yehuda says is usur. So, but you could ask, but even if you hold like Rav Shimon, Davar Sheina Miskaven is mutter. But he holds it's us if it's psik reishay. Here it's going to be psik reishay. This is what the Rishonim is. When you put it on the fire, it's for sure going to extinguish the fire. He says it doesn't have. You can put it a little at a time, so it won't extinguish the fire. So there's a way not to extinguish it. Anyway, so the Gemara says, this price that says that the wine has to be placed in the bowls because he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, even if you're doing it for the Shem Mitzvah, right? Davar Sheina Miskaven, he holds it still usher. And Shmuel, who says you put it on the fire, holds Rabbi Shimon that Davar Sheina Miskaven is mutter. You want to say Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon, Davar Sheina Miskaven is mutter? If there's a coal, a burning piece of iron in the street, and a burning wood on fire, both are on fire. So what does the Torah say? If it's in a Shus Rabin, you want to extinguish it because you don't want the Rabin to be harmed by it. Says the Gemara, you're allowed to extinguish only the metal because the metal doesn't turn into a coal. So it's only if it doesn't turn into a coal, then it's mutter.
It just gets hot.
It just gets hot, but it's not a coal. It's not going to become into a coal, which is forbidden midaraisa. But you're not allowed to extinguish a fire that's from wood because then it turns into gachelis. That's a isim in Torah. If you're going to hold like Rav Shimon that Davar Sheina Miskaven is mutter, and so here also afilu gachelis shaleitz nami. So even when he extinguishes the wood, it should also be mutter. So and the Gemara Davar Sheina Miskaven sav like Rav Shimon. He holds like Rabbi Shimon only when it comes to Davar Sheina Miskaven. But b'malach sheina tzich l'gufa, some like Rabbi Yehuda. What's the difference between here's a malach sheina tzich l'gufa? What does malach sheina tzich l'gufa means? Means let's say you have a dead person in your house, he died. So, but you want to take it out because of the smell. So you take it out. Are you doing it because you want to be? You're doing it for a positive reason? No, you would have never wanted the dead person in your house l'chatchila. Here, by the wine, you do want to do it. You do want to fulfill the mitzvah by putting the wine into the fire. That's how you fulfill the mitzvah. So that's called Davar Sheina Miskaven. But something that you don't want, and you never wanted it, that's called Malach Sheina Tzich L'Gufa. So he says, look, you're right. If Shimon holds Malach Sheina Tzich L'Gufa is also mutter. And this is the same thing with this wood, extinguishing the wood. He rather not had the wood at all in the streets, that he would have rather it should be a safe street. So he doesn't want to have to do this. There's no reason for him to look for a wood on fire and extinguish. He doesn't want it. He'd rather not have the wood on fire at all. That's called Malach. He doesn't even need it. He doesn't want it. Rabbi Shimon says still it's mutter to extinguish it. But Shmuel says, no, I disagree with that. I hold like Rabbi Yehuda, it's also. So I could hold like Rabbi Shimon, Davar Shein Miskaven is mutter, and by Malach Shein Tzeichel Gufa, I can hold it's also. The libation that became tamei, you have to make its own separate fire, and you burn it. So from here we learn out kachim that became puzzle. Usually kachim meat you would put in the Beis Hadashin in one fire. He says when it comes to wine that became puzzle, and it's only wine, nobody would recognize when you put the wine in the fire that you're burning psulim. So they made a separate fire just for liquid, so everybody knows, he's in the liquid fire. So he's burning the fire, the liquid, the puzzle liquid in that fire. So everybody realizes he's burning the liquid. Tanya Nami, so too we learned in a similar, but I said the blood, the oil, the menachis, the libations that became tamei. You make a separate fire for liquid, because if you wouldn't make a separate fire for liquid, no, by the Beis Hadashin, where they to get rid of the psulim, when it comes to wine, they make a separate fire because nobody would realize you're burning the wine, which is puzzle. Shmuel said to Avchana of Baghdad, I think it's Baghdad. Bring me 10 people. I want to say this. I want to say in front of 10 people. It shouldn't be forgotten that we should make a special fire for the Nesachim. That when it comes to libations, you must make a separate fire, that people should realize that you're burning the wine which is puzzled. And they should see it's a separate fire. Shall we turn to you, Peri Kol
How do you burn wine?
It disintegrates. It becomes you put it.
It evaporates.
Yeah, like
Evaporates. Okay, that's the right word. Okay, we start the new Perek.
Ah,
So what have we learned so far? What do we know?
We learned about Shabbos. We'll get to it later. It's going go for beautiful things. Amachlekes, whether the shemen, the wine, the wine has to be. But if the wine has to be burnt on the mizbeach, I'm sorry, if the oil is completely burnt on the mizbeach, it's divided by the kahanim. And if you and the machlekes we concluded is when you learn out one from the other. Oil you put it on the fire, or you divide it between the kahanim. It's a machlekes. And wine, everybody is a machlekes. Wine, you have Shmuel says you put it on the fire if it's just a carbon of wine itself, and Rabbi Akiva says you put it in those bowls because you're not allowed to extinguish a fire with it. Okay, let's go to the Mishnah. New Perek Dam Chatas Shenitas al Abeged. The Dam Chatas that got sprayed on a beged. Now you have it. Dam Chatas, you got to get it out of your begadim. You're not allowed to have it. The blood is special. It's kodesh. You have to get rid of it. Take it out.
You gotta get rid of the clothes, right?
Not the clothes. You have to wash it. You have to get out the blood. It needs to be. Yeah.
You can clean up. You can wash blood.
Yeah, sure. You can do it today.
Not when you spend $5 a shirt today's day.
Okay, but you can do it with salt, with other things. My wife does it with the salt the natural way. You can take it out. Yeah. Ask me later. I'll ask my wife.
Blood's not as bad. Wine is hard to get out.
Wine, yeah. It needs to be washed. Why? It says by Chatas, it says by Fedish, blood, you got to wash the begadim. Even though the pasuk is talking about those chatois that are consumed, that are eaten by the kahanim or the balabatim, or by the kahanim, I'm sorry, that's the chatas achitzena. Because the chatas that was brought inside the heichal was not eaten, it was burnt. The pasuk is talking about it. In a holy place you shall eat it. Whether it's a chatas atchitzenes, whether it's the blood of a chatas apnimis, the unis kibus needs washing. Like it says in that pasha, toiras chatos, It's the teacher, Torah achas l'chol achatayis. One din for every chatas, whether it's chatas pnimi, chatas chitzayna.
You have to wash.
You have to wash the baget to get it out. How about the chatas was psul already? Right? And ein dama ton kibbus. If the chatas became puzzle, so then the blood is nothing, it's worthless, so you don't have to wash it. Ben shais la shas akish ben shais shas.
What did you save the clothes?
That's something else. But we're talking about inside the blood of a chatas. The kiddush of it is not there. Whether there was a time when it was kosher, whether there was no time that it was a kosher. It says which case is a case that there was a time that it was kosher. It says shalana, that he kept it too long. He let it go overnight. That's how it became puzzle. Over shenitma, it became tummy, but originally it was good. Over sheyatzas, or he took it outside the azara. That's how it became puzzle. What's a case that it would never had a chance to be kosher to begin with? Because right at the beginning, when he started to slaughter it, what kavanah, what thoughts did he have? Chutz lizman, I'm going to save it for the bar mitzvah. That's in 5 weeks from now. Hey, you can't save it for it. He has to. Or the chutz l'mekayma, he's going to do it. He's going to eat it in the outside Yerushalayim, outside the Azara. Or he had the people. It says vi shekiblu, and or the kayanim were psulim or tamei. And they sprayed the blood. So there, the dam was never kosher. It was possible, and nevertheless, so whether even if it had a time that it was kosher, if it's possible, you don't have to take it out of the clothing. It says the Gemara, dam chatos.
Oh, the blood doesn't have to come out of it.
Right. You don't have to wash the clothing. Dam chatos on a beged needs kibbutz, right? And we said whether it's a chatos chitzena or chatos apnimi needs kibbutz. Of course, it says the word teres chatos. In fact, if it's one din for every chatos, afil chatza'if nami, even the blood that comes from a chatos of a bird that stained your clothing, do you have to clean it? Alamatani, why do we learn the brayso yachtei dam chatza'if toin kibbutz tabel lema zoist? We learned the finish in the brayso that if it's the blood of a chatos from a bird, you don't. We learn out from zoist. We said it includes everything. And it says in the pasuk, "Tishachet," you shall slaughter the chatas. The teachers, "Binish chatis hakas medaber." Only if it's slaughtered. Now, a oif is not slaughtered. A oif is done through malika with a thumb, so that's why it's not included.
What's the pasuk that tells us that we have to wash?
Therefore, what?
Where
The
does
blood
it say
It says tishachet. Has to be
where's
slaughtered.
the original pasuk?
Asher yazeh. The pasuk was. Okay.
So if you do malika and the blood splash,
Malika.
you don't have to launder your clothing?
No.
Only if it's only
Shchita. Only dam that comes from shchita. Blood that comes from a shchita. Says you want to say, what are you talking about? Say, the pasuk is talking about something that's consumed by the people. Now, the only two that are consumed is the chatzas chitzayna and the chatzas ha'if. The chatzah pnimi is not eaten by anybody. So maybe those two, the pasuk wanted to include that you need to wash the begadim.
Even if it's an oil.
Even if it's ha'if, k'dechsib, b'makim kodesh te'achel. Only those are included. Aval ha'pnimi is loy. Maybe the zois is coming to exclude the chatzas ha'pnimis, which is not eaten. That you don't have to have kibbutz. Says the Gemara, what are you talking about? Rabbi Achmana Teiras. The Torah came and gave us the extra word Torah. Torah sachas. So Teres Hachas is including the Chatzah Pnimis.
Also.
Yeah. So Fagimari Hachi, Afil Chatzah Nami. If the Torah is coming to include all Chatzahs, include Chatzah, says Yimara, Meirachman Zois. The Zois exclude Chatzah. Fagimara, Mara Isa. What makes you say Zois should exclude Chatzah? Maybe it should exclude the Chatzah Pnimis. So Yimara Mistaber, it's reasonable to say the Chatzah Pnimis have a Leila. The one that he included was the Chatzah Pnimis. Shekain. There's so much that it's in common. The Chatzah Pnimis to the Chatzah Chitzayim Behema, they're both from an animal. Shchitas Vatzaf, the slaughtering has to be done in the north of the Heichel. The Kabbalah of the Kabbalah's Kli, you need the receiving of a Kli. It needs to be received with a Kli by, if you don't. Kenan has to be placed on the corners, the literal corners, and not only that, with a finger, and mamish at the edge corners, the ishim and a fire. And all those don't apply by a bird. Just the opposite. We should have included Chatzah Shekain, Hu chutz k'meisa. Where's a chatas oif slaughtered? Outside the heichal, in the azara. V'achila k'meisa, and it's also eaten just like a chatas chitzoina. So it has more in common with a chatas chitzoina. So you want to know harich nefishin. The chatas pnimi has more in common with the chatas chitzoina than with the chatas pnimi. Chatas pnimi you only had two things. Yes, here you have like 6, 7 things that the two chatas, the chatas pnimis, the chatas chitzoina have in common. It says in the pasuk yoichlena, you shall eat it. It means between the two. Yoichlena means only one that's eaten. You need to have kibbutz. The other one not. So between the two kabbanis that are eaten, one is excluded. So which are the only two that are eaten? Chatas chitzoina and chatzoi. And only one could be eaten. So we say that's going on the behem. Only one you need the kibbutz. So the one that we exclude is chatzoi. Lazu v'loy lechatz acheresh. Nechalas miyat akosuf. Nechalas is coming to exclude that one of those that you eat is not included in kibbutz. So then why do I need the exclusion of zeis? You exclude it from your chlena. Says you want to eat lav zeis, if not for the extra word zeis. I would have said yechlena, eat it. I wouldn't have said it's coming to exclude. But from the word yechlena, once you have zeis, there's an exclusion. Yechlena helps you how to make the exclusion. Yechlena tells you in between the two that are eaten, one is of those two are excluded. Then I would exclude maybe chatas apnimi.
That you don't have to wash.
Wash, yes. Kamash Malan. That's why we needed zeis and yechlena. Rabbi says, Amakra says in the pasuk, Asher Yiza, Akas Madaber. You remember that's the original pasuk Asher Yiza. You know where Asher Yiza is referring to? The chatas pnimi. So you can't say chatas pnimi is excluded. Chatas pnimi is where it says Asher Yiza, and you have to wash the begadim.
Here it says Yichabes also.
It says Yichabes begadim by the chatas pnimi. It says Yomara Af Al Pishein Akas Madaber Ella Ben Acholes. The pasuk says the word Nacholes, right? So eaten chatas pnimi is not eaten. He says Nacholes there is a different shot. Lein Yameriko Shtifa, when you're doing a keli with the meat in it, that keli that you bring the meat in it has to be purged with and rinsed with hot water. That's what he means by nacholas. But washing the begadim, it says hashayiza by the chatas pnimius. So if the makkah is chatas pnimius, where you have to be mechabes begadim, so why did the Mishnah start off with the chatos chitzoni? And we include chatas pnimi. It should be the opposite. Yeah, that's how you should have started. You start off with chitzoni and then also pnimi. You should have started off with the pnimis because that's where the pasuk says Asher Yisa, and you have to wash the begadim, and then say also the chitzoni mibayile. Yeah, today. You have to learn that way. Learn change the case in the Mishnah and learn the reverse. If so, let us conclude that it should also be need the washing of the begadim.
What do you do with those?
He's going over there now. They're doing the new girsa because we're doing the reverse. It says the Torah excluded from the word zeis. Chitzoina nami loy, so the chitzoina also should be excluded from zeis, that you shouldn't be mechabes begadav.
Both should be from zeis?
Yes, it says the Torah says the extra word teres to include chatas chitzoina. In fact, the Gemara says, how do you know zeis?
It's like a ping-pong game, right?
Well, it's saying it over. How do you know zeis is excluding the chatzoi and not the chatas achitzoina? Says the Gemara it's reasonable to say chatas behema avalei rebuya. The one that he was including had to be chatas behema, because the meaning chatas chitzoina. Shekain behema shchita safin. Number one, it's a behema, and the shchita is mitzafin. Mikabala b'kli, and the kabbalah is with a clay, and with kerana has to be spread on the corners of the mzayich. The etzba, you need a finger. The chudah has to be mamish at the edge of the corners. The ishmael, you need a fire. You should include a chatzaiv. Shekain hazak kemaisa. Because you spray by chatzaiv. I'm sorry, by chatzaiv havleirabuya shekain, because it's limited chatas apnimi, because its blood is sprayed like it, like the chatzah pnimi. After the Gemara, so he says, "Anach nefishin." But when it comes to chatzah yitzena, in common with chatzah pnimi, it has much more in common. But you're above it. Above it is the shaila. We have still it. Chatzah ha'ev sheichnes dama. A chatzah ha'ev that they brought in the blood while it was betzavar in the neck. Bifnim, they brought it inside the heichal. Mao, what's the din? Is it like bringing, when you take blood and you put it in, and you receive it from the animal and you bring it into the heichal, the blood becomes muscle? Is the neck by a chicken, there's no klisharis. It goes straight from the neck onto the mizbech. So if he brings the neck inside, maybe the neck is considered as the klisharis, bringing the blood and should become puzzle.
Where in the plemius?
In the heichal, yeah, yes. Says you want to tzavariki klisharis dami. Umisel and becomes puzzle. Idilma b'tzava behema. Maybe it's considered as the neck of a behema. You take a neck of a behema and you bring it into the heichal. It's zero. It's not a keli. It says befeish. It has to be from the blood that you brought inside, not the neck, not the basa. Tashma Kamani, I'll answer you. Pirchis of the animal was shaking after the malika. Sorry, the chicken was shaking after it had the malika. Nichnas elafnim, if it was brought inside the chaza and it came back in, kshed it's kasha. Ha, chichnisa. But what's if he? The blood didn't become puzzle. If the chicken, after he did the malika, jumped inside the heichal and then it came back out, the blood didn't become
The
nerves.
They throw it in, it still pops out.
So it jumped in and it is still kasha. That's as long as it jumped in on its own. It's mashma. If you did it yourself, hichnisa. If he brought it physically, so it will be puzzle. Says the one according to your reasoning, the legabe kachim. I think okay, we got to stop over here. Okay, I'll put it here. According to your understanding, that you're being medayik from this, that it said that it jumped in itself, then it's kosher. But if he would have brought it in himself, it would have been chayiv. Legabe kachim. Where the din is that you have to shecht it and you have to receive the blood in the tzaf, in the north part of the Hazara. The Ketani over there we learned in another baraisa, if the behema that was slaughtered, pirsa v'yatzasa, that it from the nerves it went out from the shatach of tzafin of the north, ladarim to the side of darim. So and then we turn kshed, it's going to be kosher. So are you going to be medayik there that if you brought it from the tzafin to the darim, it's going to be possible? If the kohen took a biyadei psula, for sure not. There's no mechitzas there that can say it's going to be considered as I saw. Obviously, you can't make this deal. Ella will only forced to say that the tan of this brisa, second brisa, this that he mentioned that the behema went out from tzafin on its own. It was needed to tell us that if it went out outside the azara, like behema kachim kalam that went outside the azara after the shechita. There he wanted to be mechadish that the behema becomes puzzle when it leaves, even though it went on its own, and without saying that a person took him out with the kavan, took him out biyadayim. And since he mentions that there's such a case, but again to the yitziyah from the azara as a psal, so he also chapped on, but again the yitziyah minat sofin. Hachanami, so too here in the Braisa, when it's talking about the Chatz Ha'ev, we could say, Be'emes, if the Kohen brought it into the Heichal, it will not be Yodei, it's not a dik, it's still not going to be Yasa. Because the dam is still connected to the neck. So it's not the blood, it's the neck. Yatza Lachutz, it's Chalei. We need it for the case that's similar to the Chatz Ha'ev, where after the malika was done, it went outside the hazara. There he wanted to be mechadish that it will become possible, even though it went out on its own. So therefore, you can't be medayik from the brayso that if he physically took it out, it will be possible. No, it has nothing. There is no such a deal. If the blood was spilled straight from the neck al haritzma onto the ground of the hazara, and from the neck of the oiv, the blood went straight to the floor. And the person gathered it into klima. What's the din? Does the dam become kosher, and he can now spray it on the mizbeach or not? So the shaila is, when the Torah says that you have to spray directly from the bird, from the neck of the bird, the Torah only said you don't have to use a klisharis for the receiving of the blood of the chatza'ev, because the neck of the eif is considered the klisharis. V'hilka, so since we know if something enters the klisharis and it falls out, you could gather it from the floor. V'hilka cha'isrei, therefore you could gather it from the floor. V'ukasha, and it's going to be kasha to spray on the mizbeach. Haydimo, perhaps, or maybe the Torah means to say directly from the neck, and he passes using a klisharis. That has to be directly from the neck. If somebody gathers it from the floor, puzzle. It'll be puzzle. We don't know. I said, Tavshma, come in here. I'll bring a raya from the Bryce that we brought previously. Yachal, I would have thought, I would have thought that the blood of the oiv that fell on a baguette needs washing. Talmud Leimer comes the pasuk and says, Zois to exclude that the chatzaiv does not need, if the blood of the chatzaiv fell on the baguette, he does not need washing. If it's going to enter your mind that the Torah passel kli sharis for chatzaiv, for the dam chatzaiv, say, what do you need a zois to exclude that the blood that fell on the baguette you don't have to wash? It's possible blood the minute that it entered in the ear of the baguette, because it's the ear of a baguette is considered a kli, and the aver of a kli would passel the dam because you're not allowed to use a kli sharis. It's talking about a case why you need zayis. It's talking about that the person hung a baguette right by the neck where he cut the oif's neck. In such a case, the dam does not go, it blocks the dam from going into the aver of the baguette because it's touching the baguette itself. So b'shas hanagia, so the blood was still kosher. So therefore, the Bryce needed zeis to tell you, no, you don't have to take the blood out by a chatzayv. That's what we need zeis for. Wait a minute, the Levi is the dam of a behemoth chatas that was received in the klishares v'nitas, and it sprayed onto me baguette lebaguette. It sprayed on one baguette, it bounced off, and it went on another baguette. Mao, what's the din? Do you have to wash the second baguette also? So it says, do we say mi baguette kama itchalei lekibus? Do we say from the moment that the dan was sprayed, the blood was sprayed on the first baguette, it already became puzzle from its kashus for hazal amizbeach, because this baguette is already chai bekibus, needs to be washed. Umela, if you're going to give now on the when it fell on the baguette sheni, it's like a dam puzzle from it's from the dam that has to be from the baguette that has to be washed. That's where the blood came from. So maybe it's already dam puzzle, and you're not mechuyev to wash the second baguette when it falls on the other baguette. Or perhaps maybe we'll say even after you're mechuyev in kibbutz in the first baguette, the blood is still kosher to spray. So. And you'll be chayiv to wash even the second baguette. Amalei, so Rabbi said to Levi, Zu Sheila, this is a good shaila, and I'll answer the second baguette ton kibbutz does need washing. From whichever way you look at it, whatever side you look at it. If the din is that you're allowed to gather the blood from the baguette, from the first baguette, and it remains kosher to place on the mizbeach, because the chiyuv of washing a baguette doesn't passel it from dam carbon, meaning it's kosher dam. So therefore, that you have to wash the second baguette, kosher. So the blood is still kosher for azah, and when it falls on the second baguette, it's pasha that you have to wash the second baguette. And even if the din is that even if you gather the blood from the first baguette, then the blood would be possible to put on the mizbeach because you mechuyev to wash the chiyuv of washing the baguette passel the dam. So still, you would have to wash the second baguette, because Ana Rabbi Akiva Svirali. I hold like that's Rabbi Akiva. The Amma if there was to the Karban Chatas Ashas Akosha a time when it was kasha to put on the mizbeach, and then the nifsla, and only afterwards, when we got sprayed on the blood, got sprayed on the back, and it became puzzle. Dama ton kibus. The blood still that comes on that bag, it still needs washing, not like the Tana of our Mishnah. So therefore, even here, even though mitchila, before the blood was sprayed on that bag, that Rishna was kasha, it was kasha for spraying. So therefore, even after it was sprayed onto the baguette, and it became now puzzle from spraying on the mizbeach, it still has the koyach to be mechayev, to be mechabes the second baguette.